Hello and welcome to Open Line. I'm Starlene Stringer. Well, the start of December officially kicks off the season of giving, and several local charities would appreciate you thinking about them during this time of generosity, and as you plan your end of year gifts too. They all also have great stories to share about all the work they do right here in Irving. Our guests today are Terry Petty with Family Promise of Irving and Lieutenant Armando Acosta with the Salvation Army of Irving. I want to thank you both for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
It is an honor and pleasure. I know both of you have exciting projects that are underway, and we want to talk about those. But for our viewers, first, before we do that, we want to get a quick overview from both of you about your organizations. And we're going to start with you, Terry. What is Family Promise of Irving?
Family Promise of Irving serves families with children that are in a homeless situation. And we shelter the families through a partnership with our local churches. So the churches provide a space in their building for our families to spend the overnight for 1 week at a time. Volunteers bring the evening meal and make it as home-like as possible. Then Family Promise has a van that picks up the families and brings them over to our day center. So we're a temporary solution for families that are living paycheck to paycheck, that life happens, and if they don't have a financial safety net, any one of us could be without housing. So we work on job search skills and budgeting and financial literacy. So the main thing is to work full-time, save 70% of your income, and find affordable housing.
I love it. We're going to find out a little bit more about the organization in just a minute, but now we want to talk to you about the Salvation Army because the name is known worldwide, but people may not know what you do right here in Irving. So tell us about the projects you have here.
Well, the Salvation Army is here in Irving, just like in the whole world, is an evangelical part of the Universal Christian Church. Our message is based on the Bible, and our mission is to serve human need and without discrimination in Jesus' name. So that's what we do. Here in Irving, we have a Boys and Girls Club, which is basically affordable after-school programs as well as summer programs for the children. We do rental assistance, and we also have a food pantry that's available for the public.
And we are so grateful for both organizations doing all that you do to make a difference. Now, I know you're pretty new to Irving yourself, so if you don't mind, will you share a bit about your background with us?
Sure. My wife and I, we just got appointed to Irving. We were actually in Atlanta at the officer training college for the Salvation Army for 2 years. And so this is actually our very first official appointment with the Salvation Army. We had served previously in El Paso for 4 years, but this is our first at the official, level that we have.
Well, welcome to Irving.
Thank you.
And Terry, I want to talk to you about how you got into the position that you're in currently with Family Promise of Irving. I know a lot of people look at working at nonprofits of being more as a calling than being a career. So tell us how you got to where you are.
It is. It started at the Irving Community Action Network years and years ago. We discovered that there were over 1,000 children that were homeless in our district. And so we had a lady come and present. Family Promise is a national organization that's in 43 different states. And so we realized that we had the need to help families with children in a homeless situation. And at that time, I was working at Christ Church as the outreach minister, so I was part of the core group getting us started. Christ Church is still one of our partner churches. And then I served on the board for several years until I became the executive director 4 years ago. So it has been a labor of love since the very beginning.
Oh, wow, that's a nice career that you already had so far, and you're doing great things still. So thank you so much for being here as well. As I've mentioned a bit earlier, we're grateful to have you. And I want to come back to you, Lieutenant Acosta, because I know that even though it's the Salvation Army and people hear that name all the time, there are challenges that you face. Can you tell us what some of the challenges are?
Well, we do face some challenges, and that is exactly what you mentioned. We are well known, but sometimes when we talk to people, we get confused. Sometimes if we're flying somewhere, people think we're pilots, maybe because of the uniform. And so that's a challenge. Even though there's a recognition, sometimes it's not necessarily the recognition that we think that it should be. Also, we'll say that we're the Salvation Army, and they think we just do, thrift stores, or the bell ringing on during Christmas, which we are all of these things except for pilots, but we are all of these things. And so I think one of the main things that we would love for people to know is that we are in fact a church as well, and we do serve the community in the social aspects as well. So we're very active in all our social services. But my wife and I were both ordained pastors with the Salvation Army. So sometimes that's a challenge. It's just people don't know exactly the whole scope of what we do.
Well, for those watching right now, it's a great opportunity for you to tell them about some of those programs. You do a lot to help out in the community, and the programs you offer may be shocking to some people. They have no idea what you really offer. Tell us about a few of the programs.
We have a Boys and Girls Club, like we had mentioned earlier. I think at the moment we have 120 children enrolled, averaging between 70 to 80 children on a day-to-day basis. So after-school programs such as tutoring, sports, and a good fellowship with other children of the same age. So that's one of our programs that we have right now. During the summer, we get the children pretty much all day. So it's the same kind of thing. A lot of sports, a lot of playing, a lot of character building, which is what we try to instill in the children. And my wife and I we love to be in there with them. You know, we wish we could be with them more often, but sometimes all the administrative duties and things that we have, it makes it really hard for us to really be there with the children. You know, sometimes we just want to hang out and play with them as well. And so, but that's probably what we're best known for here in Irving, is our Boys and Girls Club. We do have a program called Soul Food, and that's basically our older adults. They can come in on Fridays and they pick up groceries and then some fresh flowers at the end. And we have kind of a pilot program running right now that's kind of an offshoot of the Soul Food, which is a lot of local businesses have donated time and materials and things, and a beauty salon, some nails. And so our older adults, they can come in and they got a makeover, they got their nails done, they got to dance a little bit. And this event we did last month, and it was the first time we did it. We're hoping to do it at least twice a year for now, and hopefully we'll do it more often than that. But those are a couple of the things we do. We love our children, and we love our older adults as well.
Wonderful. So yeah, you're taking care of all the ages, the young kids and the seniors too, making
Yes,
a
ma'am.
difference. We appreciate that. And I know, Terry, that you are also doing great things at Family Promise of Irving. And so can you tell us what kind of programs you have planned for the new year?
We can. You know, families that are in our program usually stay anywhere from 60 to 90 and sometimes 120 days depending on their situation. And we see a lot of generational poverty. So when we do our financial budgeting and savings goals, it's unfamiliar with other people. So what we've started is an aftercare program called Moving with Promise, that we continue to walk in relationship with our families and help them to maintain and enhance their financial literacy and their saving ability, because once you get out of our program, life's still going to happen, and you still need to be able to put a little bit aside every month and budget for that.
I see. And do you work with local churches to help families in need?
We do. We have 14 partner churches. 10 of them actually host the families in their building, and the others are buddy churches where they provide volunteer support. And we also have volunteer support from corporations, teacher retirement programs, Boy Scout, Girl Scouts. You know, it's really a lovely way to volunteer because there's no age limit. We have, you know, from little kids to grandma and grandpa, so anybody can serve.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that information. And Lieutenant Acosta, I know you have great plans with the Salvation Army of Irving for 2019 as well. So can you tell us about what you have coming up?
We've got January is actually our strategic planning month, in which we do try to plan out as much of the year as possible. Next year, we definitely would like to really start planning our kettle program, which is what's in full effect right now, which is a way for us to basically fundraise out in the public, and a large part of our budget comes from that. Another thing that we do during the Christmas season is our super lunch. And another thing is our angel tree program. So we've got 3 things going on during the Christmas season, and so these are things that when my wife and I got to Irving, we just had to hit the ground running and just basically, you know, get pushed into a lot of the programs that were already in place. So next year, a lot of planning definitely is going to be a big part of what we're going to be doing. Of course, we've got you know, all the holidays, you know, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter. During the summer, it gets really busy at our center. The children are there. It could be up to 120 on any given day. So there's field trips involved. There's just, I mean, it's a lot of activity going on the whole summer. Our staff doubles during the summer. So that's basically what we've got for 2019.
Busy year ahead for
Very
sure.
busy.
Very busy. Thank you for sharing that. And I know as he talks about these events they have going on, and you've told us about the ones y'all have too at Family Promise of Irving, Terry, there are a lot of needs, like financially, to get these things done, but you also need people to donate their time. Tell us about your volunteer needs.
Well, last year we had over 500 volunteers. There's only 3 people on staff, and the rest is volunteer driven. So, like I said, the churches provide drivers for our van, which is a 15-passenger van. You don't have to have a commercial license. Serving meals to the families. We do, if you're going to have contact with our families, want you to do a little 30, 45-minute training, and that's just talking about confidentiality and boundaries and making assumptions on appearances. You know, all of our families have had self-sufficiency before, so, you know, when you think of a homeless family, there's a stereotype that goes along with that we want to crash, because, like I said, this could happen to anyone. Yeah. Volunteers, we need extra churches. If you're in a church in Irving and would like to volunteer, we would love to tell you about it. It's a wonderful way to have a mission in your own building where you're, you know, this is your church home and you're inviting people to do that. We don't evangelize with our words in our program. We just try to let our actions speak for our faith. But like I said, we have corporate sponsors that come in and have been trained and buddy up with one of our churches. We have social groups, and, you know, if you have a dinner group and want to do something on an occasional basis, we would love to have you. You can serve as much or as little as possible. We have a 4-year-old that serves at one of our churches, and she has a job. She has a little apron, and her job is to, when the families come through the dinner line, say, "We're so glad you're here."
Everyone plays a role. I love hearing that.
Exactly.
Lieutenant Acosta, I have to ask you, what is the League of Volunteers?
The League of Volunteers is an amazing group of ladies that, I mean, what don't they do, basically? they do everything. They have their hands in everything that we do at the center. When my wife and I were assigned to Irving, and as we were looking through the brief that we received, letting us know what kind of programs we'll be in charge of and things like that, and when we saw that we had a League of Volunteers group, we both were we were floored, because we thought there is an actual volunteer group that we get to work with, because in the past, you know, volunteers is just, it's a very, it's a luxury, you know, to have volunteers. And so the fact that we have a group of ladies that come in, they'll, you know, we can send a mass email and see if they can help us with things, and if they're not able to, they'll find people that can. And so it's just an amazing group of ladies that work with us, and they believe in the mission that the Salvation Army has, and so, you know, they're just awesome ladies.
By now you probably have heard that saying we say here in Texas, we do everything bigger and better. So now you get that volunteer experience with that as well. So I'm glad they're helping you out. Okay, so for people that do come and volunteer with the Salvation Army, do you put them through any type of specific training?
We do, depending on what kind of work they'll be doing. We have a training program called Safe from Harm. If they will be around any of the children, it's something that basically teaches them what they can, what they can't do, what is our policy, what is not our policy. So in order to protect the children and in order to protect the volunteers as well, many times, because there's some things that they may be doing that may not be policy. So we just want to make sure that they're aware of what is right and what they're able to do. And volunteers right now are very, very needed as well. We have a website called registertoring.com, and you can put in your zip code or just write in Irving, and it'll direct you basically to our center, and you can look schedules up and locations for going out and ringing a bell for us, and I'll receive an email, and it'll give me the information of the volunteer and the schedule that they would like to volunteer at. And so that's just an amazing tool we've got this year. It's actually a brand new thing.
That is neat.
It has been amazing because I've already used a few of those volunteers out, ringing the bells, and it's awesome because everything that they get in that kettle goes straight into our programs, right back into the community.
I'm glad you mentioned what they give to those kettles, because it does take money to do what y'all do. And so I have to ask, when it comes to funding, I know you have other programs too and other things you do. You mentioned it a little bit. You talked about the Super Lunch, but can you tell us a bit more about that?
The Super Lunch, last year we had Mr. Jerry Jones, owner of the Cowboys, who is an awesome person. My wife and I got to meet him. And when we met him, we told him we're the Corps officers at Irving, and so he just said, "Oh well, let me," and his his security people were just kind of looking at him and getting him like, "Come on, sir, we got to get moving," type of thing, because he just wanted to talk to us, and he's just an amazing person, and he was our guest last year, and he did a lot for that Super Lunch. And this year we've got First Lady of the Governor, Mrs. Abbott. She's our guest speaker this year, and it's actually next Tuesday, December 11th, is our Super Lunch. And so the Super Lunch and the kettles that are out there, those two are probably the biggest fundraisers that make up our budget for the year. So those are the two programs that we've got going right now for that.
Awesome. And I understand that last year you kicked off a new initiative called Impact 25. What is that?
Impact 25 basically is something that has a lot to do with Super Lunch and just being able to come alongside the Salvation Army and just help us out with our mission. We have an advisory council that comes up with the Super Lunch, comes up with Impact 25, comes up with League of Volunteers. I mean, as Corps officers, it's a dream when we have the people that we're working with right now to just, we basically sign off on a lot of things. We go to the meetings, but the volunteers and the council does so much that we just kind of, we don't sit back because we obviously have a lot that we've got to do as well, but I mean, the amazing people that just come up with these awesome ways for us to be out in the community and being able to serve.
Wonderful. And I know, Terry, y'all have a wonderful fundraiser each year too called Steps and Strides.
We did that in October. We have our primary fundraiser coming up March the 2nd, and that's the Night of Promise Gala. We have that at the Irving Convention Center Junior Ballroom, and Gloria Campos is our honorary chair again this year. And dinner, dancing, silent auction. This year's theme is an evening in the candy shop, so we'll have sweets also this year. It's going to be lots of fun.
That sounds delicious. It sounds like fun. And you did have a lot of fun at Steps and Strides this year, which is past. You had high school students helping volunteer.
We not only had high school students, we had junior high students. We had Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. We had the Academy cater our breakfast. They had breakfast burritos for us. So it was a great community event. And it's not only about raising money, it's about raising awareness of what we do and the need for what we do in the community.
Right.
Wonderful. And I know that you've actually benefited from a program here in Irving called Share Tank.
Yes.
Tell us about that. How does it work?
It is a great thing that our city, it is a collaboration between the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Irving and the nonprofits doing business here. And what we receive as a nonprofit is excellent training. We have to attend 4 different sessions, and like I said, the training that we receive for free is amazing. And then after that, we have the opportunity to do a 7-minute pitch to a group of funders that the Chamber of Commerce has pulled together. And so then they have 5 minutes to present questions. So this year we pitched for some child care assistance. That's one of the major challenges for our families, is the lack of affordable child care. So we're hoping that we are going to reap the benefits once again, but it is an amazing community effort. We're so proud of Irving and the Chamber and the city for putting this together for our nonprofits.
That's awesome. And Lieutenant Acosta, I want to come back to you for just a minute so that you can just talk a bit more about the importance of donations, financial donations, when it comes to your missions and your goals.
Well, if you are out at Walmart or any of the local stores, I don't think you could miss that bell that's ringing right now. As a matter of fact, we've got some bell ringers out today, and they'll be out until the 24th. And so that is an awesome way to donate and help the mission of the Salvation Army here in Irving. All those dollars that go in there come back to the community. We're able to do our work in the community because of those dollars. And I think one of the things that a lot of people maybe don't understand or don't know about the bell ringers that we have out there is that, yes, a lot of them are volunteers, but they're also employees. And so it's kind of a double ministry that we do with that, with the bell ringing, because we're able to hire people that may not be able to work at other times during the year, or maybe they may be on disability or any other situation. And so we're able to hire them, and we're able to give them, a seasonal employment paycheck, and then at the same time they give back to the community by collecting this money for the Salvation Army so that we can continue to help. Now there's also volunteer opportunities doing the bell ringing as well, which is also amazing because groups go out there and they have so much fun with it. They'll go out there wearing their Santa and elf and all kinds of costumes and things like that, or they'll play music depending on what the group is doing, and they'll just have a great time with it. And these kind of people, their energy just is reflected, and so people just go up and they'll give.
Yeah, and it's not only those who are volunteering or working that have fun. Sometimes it's the people who are giving, and I've heard some amazing stories. Can you share one or two about what's been left in those kettles?
Well, as far as I know, here at Irving, I haven't seen anything really that interesting other than maybe some Canadian coins and things like that do kind of fall in there. But I know in the past, there's been some pretty hefty checks dropped into those kettles. Hefty checks or even gold coins, people will drop in there. There's a gentleman who chooses to be anonymous, and he'll drop in the kettle, I think, up to a $10,000 donation at each kettle. I think he does 10 kettles total, and he'll pick a city out of the blue and just go and donate. And I probably have the numbers wrong, but I mean, the gentleman donates a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars, and he'll just pick a city out of the blue, and he'll just go and drop the coins at random kettle locations. And so those are the things. And every once in a while, you'll get somebody that'll drop their ring in there,
those
jewelry.
Are the stories that always fascinate me when they have large diamond rings left in the kettle.
Diamond rings, and so we'll have to go get them appraised, and find out how much they're worth, and then there will be times when the ladies will drop their ring in there on accident. And then
they're like, "Give me my ring back."
And then the bell ringer will call me up and say, "Lieutenant, I need you to come out here and unlock the kettle."
That would be me. I'd be like, "I'm so sorry. Can I please have my wedding ring back?"
And that has happened as well. We've
That's
had to
funny.
drive out to a location, unlock the kettle, give them their ring, or just get their information, so that we can get back with them and give them their ring.
And of course, the guys in the control room are reminding me that you've also had some Dallas Cowboys players dropped in the kettles.
We've had a couple, and we've got that $21 challenge going on right now. So if you're able to drop $21, usually they'll roll up a $1 bill around a 20 or vice versa. And our counters, the people that count the kettles, they've been trained to recognize that $21, and we let, I believe it was Dak, that said he would match Up to $21,000, he would match every $21 donation.
Yeah, it's Zeke. I met that challenge, so yes, he owes y'all some money for me, for
Yes,
sure. And I
that's
want to
awesome.
get to you for just a minute here, Terry, and ask you before you run out of time quickly, just to tell us about some of the feedback you've received from the families that have come through Family Promise. I'm sure you hear some amazing stories.
It is amazing. It really is. They are always so grateful, not only for the program, but especially for the volunteers, because that's what sets us apart, is that they feel encouraged and hopeful, and it we have, when at our gala, we always have a graduate come and speak, and the stories that they tell, like I said, they're just people like you and I, you know, that just came on hard times, and it's amazing what a goodwill, encouragement, a word of prayer can do for a family. And the children, of course, they're beautiful, and they just roll with the flow. They are right at home from the very beginning.
I love it. I'm sure someone watching right now wants to be a part of that. They want to help, they want to make a donation. And how do they go about doing so? Is there a website?
There is, familypromiseirving.org, and during the holiday season, what we're requesting is gift cards, because what that does is gives the family the power of choice in their life and the dignity to go in and buy whatever it is that the family needs. So that's what's our request, you know, gas cards, gift cards, that type of thing.
And Lieutenant Acosta, what kind of requests do you have, and how do people go about reaching you?
Registertoring.com is a great way to donate your time, which is something that we definitely need, especially at the kettles right now. SalvationArmyDFW.org is our website. And when you go on that website, you could click onto Irving, and I believe right now the banner that's up on the website for the whole Metroplex has to do with our Super Lunch in Irving. So I believe you can click on that and get the information that you might want to look at for Super Lunch or Irving. So those two websites, I think, are the main ones right now. Register to Ring and SalvationArmyDFW.org. And put some money in those kettles.
There you go. Keep those bells ringing, and people will keep delivering. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And thank you for watching this edition of Open Line. I'm Starlene Stringer. Please be sure to join us on Thursday, January 10th at 1:30 p.m. for our discussion on wellness for seniors. We'll talk about health risk and great resources to help our older residents. We look forward to seeing you then.